It needs to be. That's who's working on that idea. I told him to try to get the that vote there.
I discovered that. All right, it's 5:30. We're here tonight for a public hearing on a proposed business district for Fairfield. Everybody's heard me talk about it for a couple of months, and so I'll just say this. I see it personally as a way that we can help our business district. It is an extra cent per dollar that you'd be paying. Right now, Fairfield is at 7 cents. For instance, Mount Vernon is at 9.5. Salem at 8.25. There's nobody that's as low as 7%, and according to the data produced for us by Moran Economic Development, 2 out of every $3 spent inside our proposed business district is spent from outside Fairfield. So we find it to be a compelling way to be able to help save our downtown area and the areas of our business district that needs help. The other feature that I always thought was attractive as well was the fact that Walmart is included in the business district. That's a $50 million business, and so it would generate a great deal of money to help the specific area that it has hurt, and that being our downtown area in particular, the other business parts of our town. Jared Kanalikan is with the group of Moran Economic Development. I hope I didn't steal too much of your thunder, Jared. You want to take it from there and make a presentation, and then what we'll do is we'll take everybody that wants to speak about this, and we'll go as long as we have to. The only rules are that you come up front, you give us your name, and that we limit it to 3 minutes of discussion like we do with everything that comes before the City Council. Jared?
Yeah, and the mayor did do a nice job of summarizing what I'm here for, but I will say a couple things for the business district tax. It does not apply to medicine, groceries, anything licensed in the state of Illinois. Basically, high tax items is what the state charges 6.25% on. Those are the same items the business district would apply to. The revenues collected from the business district program can only be used for certain eligible costs, things like infrastructure, water, sewer, sidewalks, streets, facade improvement, helping businesses make some upgrades, things like that. Within the boundary, we have some maps up here, and if you'd like to come up and grab one or grab one later to see where the boundary is. So the money we're talking about is collected from properties that make up this area and it has to be used for the properties in this area. I also have some business district kind of FAQs up here that have some of the nuts and bolts of how the program works, goes into a little bit more detail. At the meeting on February 8th, we presented the eligibility study. The area has to be eligible. You can't just determine any area. It can be a business district. It has to be found to qualify, which we did find that the area here does qualify. Also, as part of that redevelopment plan we presented, the city has some goals and objectives, things they'd like to use the program for. Like I said, a lot of it's helping the businesses in the area. Some of those infrastructure utility costs, streetscape type costs, sidewalks, things like that. But I think that kind of sums it up, and like I said, I don't want to go on too far, too long, but the point here is to answer any questions we have and for the council to hear any public comments. So with that, I'll kind of open it up.
Anyone wants to come up and address the City Council concerning this matter, please come up and speak up, please, because we are streaming this on Facebook so that everybody can see it that couldn't make it here. So if you'd like to come up and speak to this, please come up and give us your name and take it from there.
Kevin Frankenberry. I live at 401 Southwest 2nd Street, across the street from Center Street Gym, excuse me. I moved here about 4 years ago. Come from a town, a college town, a little bit bigger than this, in Oklahoma, Woodford, Oklahoma. They did the same thing. The first time they came up for a vote, it went down. The council that wanted it got back together. They put a timeline. Hey, let's vote on it for 5 years. It'll last 5 years, and then we can either get rid of it or reevaluate it and go forward. They went back to vote. It passed big time. 5 years came up last year. They put it back to a vote. It's hardly anybody ever voted it down. The improvements that was made was so good that everybody was on board for what they was doing. That way, they had to be accountable for the money. It wasn't a rubber stamp. It was going to last forever. And they did it again for 5 years. I really believe that it'll help the improvements of businesses, which will in turn bring in more revenue, which in turn will bring in more jobs. That's what I'm in favor for. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Others? I didn't start the timer that time. So I think it was under 3 minutes. So. This time, I'm on you, Gary.
All right.
Okay?
All right. I've been there before.
All right,
So,
go ahead.
Mary Grief, City Clerk, Hutchcraft, Council. Bryce and the councilman, I thank you for an opportunity to come and speak to you tonight concerning this business district that we have. I'm rising up today to speak against the district, the 1% sales tax. In the past, I've spoke against the school tax, which I was on the school board at the time, and feel like that for us as a business, and I'm speaking for Carter Turf and Tractor today, this 1% sales tax will cost us business. I know that many of you probably think, oh, how can it cost you business? But 1% can cost me a sale on a lawnmower, on a riding zero-turn lawnmower. Lawnmowers today our minimum lawnmower price that we have is somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe $3,800, but we have lawnmowers that go all the way up to $28,000, $30,000. Some of our tractors that we sell from there that we have to charge sales tax on, it could be as much as $38,000, $48,000 that are not able to farm exempt the tractors. Lawnmowers, you are not able to farm exempt. Tractors, if they have a farm, they will be able to farm exempt it. 1% on small items and items in our building, such as oil and stuff like that, is a non-effect thing. But items with that 1%, believe it or not, they will shock me. And the only way for me to actually get that sale is to lower myself on the front end to compensate for that 1% sales tax. So it is something that will affect us. My closest neighbor, my closest competitor in Wayne City, Illinois, is automatically going to be 1% because he is not going to have this business sales tax. He's still going to be at 7% because he still has to pay the 0.75% sales tax. So I stand for that. The other aspect of this thing is I love Fairfield. Every one of these business owners here that are probably in favor of this, I love them. They're good friends. I'm not here to throw a deal, but sometimes being the lowest sales tax deal is not a bad thing. And as I travel through my campaign throughout the other cities, they're all saying it's an easy way for it to become easier to have sales tax. And I think that we can drive more revenue to our cities by a lower sales tax. I'll close with this. I think the projects you're wanting to do are great. I mean, I'm willing to get behind those projects however way that we can. We have the TIF program that I think that is a good program that they could go to and help fund. But really right now, I don't think it's a good time. We're seeing prices of gasoline to reach up over $5 to $6 is what I'm being told. And it's gonna hurt this middle class family that we have. And so I rise today to speak against this sales tax, in the effect that how it's gonna affect our business, and my employees. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Others?
Hi, guys. Christy Harding, Carnegie Square. Of course, I'm for this tax. I do think that the business district that it enhances could really bring more to our town. If you think about in the business district, what businesses there are, they are all my age, 5 years older, 5 years younger. We have to do something in our town to bring younger, we want to enhance the appearance of our town to bring people to open mom and pop stores. As Tyler said at one meeting, mom and pop stores are the ones that take care of your schools, your advertising, all of the little raffles they have. We get behind every one of those. And I'm going to tell you, we have got to do something with our town to who's going to replace me? We have to have somebody, or who's going to replace Kincaid's? I mean, do we have a succession plan? Do we have anybody that really wants to be a mom and pop store anymore? I don't know. But if we can use this money to enhance our town, it's not going to be a slush fund for the merchants. I'm not going to be able to write a check out of it. That's ridiculous that's been on the Facebook. It's not going to be the slush fund for the mayor. You guys are all going to make the decision. The decision would be made by the council. There is a committee, but they have to file for whatever they want done. It'll also help these landlords. I don't own my building. My landlord barely probably makes enough to do what he does to my building. I do a lot because he can't afford it. What will that do to help the landlords that own these buildings? They can enhance their buildings and make them prettier. I do know I own lots of groups, and we can, whether we do Christmas decorations, whether we do curbing, whether we do the bike pack, whatever we do, it's worth it. We're going to die. We are now the shopping place that everybody comes to. We're in Fairfield. Carmike comes here. Flora comes here. Wayne City comes here. Sisney, Mount Vernon. I mean, I can tell you, Alney, Albion. We don't want to lose our little stores because then we have nobody coming and then you have no sales tax. So I just think that we should be in support of this. And Gary, you're still my friend, so thank you very much. And I promise I won't use my hands so much next time.
That's okay. It means you're passionate. Others?
Hello, I'm Nicole Jordan. I own The Farmer's Daughter. I'm in full support of the 1% tax increase. Purchasing the store 3.5 years ago has really opened my eyes to the desperate need of additional funds to our town. As a small business owner prior to COVID, it was a challenge drawing in out-of-town customers to grow your business and have the finances to upkeep the existing aging building in which we own. When I look around at the other buildings in our town, I'm greatly concerned in what Fairfield will be like in the next 5 to 10 years without funding to improve it on many different levels. It's hard enough prior to COVID for small businesses to make it, but fortunately many in Fairfield did make it. And I can speak for myself, and by banking locally, they were able to understand our situation and to help us keep our doors open. Without this additional funding to make improvements on this aging town, and to improve the look, to bring in outside customers. What is going to make us stand out compared to a town, someone bigger to us like Mount Vernon. So again, I'm in full support of the 1% tax increase because we need all the additional help that we can get, and this would just be the help that we would need. So I'm, again, all for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Sheila Zerlini. I just see a lot of issues maybe in the future coming up. When this all started, 2 out of 3 dollars were spent from out of town. That only encompassed the city of Fairfield. That's not Barnhill, Jeff, Jasper, all these little places around. So that figure I don't think is a true figure. That figure might be true when we looked at 2 out of 3 are on fixed incomes here, because there are so many retired people and others that are on a fixed income. That's just how it is. I think that with 6 more years of TIF money, and with the community support and with the business support, maybe that should be enough money. You know, step up to the plate. We've got Y Fairfield, Volunteers for Progressive Fairfield, Fairfield Forward. I could go on and on. All of them have that agenda. We want to make our town better. We want to bring people to our town to shop. And I'm not seeing them do anything. Volunteers for Progressive Fairfield, I take that back. The others, I've not seen any fundraisers for anything. And no projects listed, no, let's do this with this money. We're going to have pork burger sale, we're going to put this aside, we're going to do facades with this every time. 1%, you're right, hardly nothing. Except Fairfield High School, the city of Fairfield, the county, Fairfield Grade School, Frontier, their taxes will all raise this time. There's no doubt that their taxes will raise. So 1% does pile up. It's just a continuing little pile up. And I also think that you're not even touching what really could bring people here, and that would be the history involved in this community and this county. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Marjorie Jordan, and many of you probably know me as Nicole, Jordan's mom. She owns Farmer's Daughter. She was up here and stuff. And so I have grown up my whole life in Wayne County. I live north of Sisney, so I'm not a true Fairfield, so I'm here speaking as an out-of-towner. I do most of my shopping in Fairfield, and I have. I remember back when I was a kid, coming here, and we had the movie theater and the fitness center, and the list can go on, as many of you probably can list better than I can. And over the years, we have lost those things. And so in 2015, I was hired as the volleyball coach for the Frontier College. And so I spent that time recruiting individuals, athletes from out of town to come into town. And that's when I really started to notice, because when you come shopping, sometimes you don't always pay attention to how things were really going downhill. And what was it that I could sell, because that's what I had to do, was sell this town to the athletes to get them to choose Fairfield over other towns. And in that time, there still isn't, there is not a lot to draw those. And I, honest to goodness, would lose athletes over the fact of the limited things for them to do here. So with the 1%, it would give opportunity to enhance our town. Now, in 2018, I got another perspective when Nicole bought the store. When I was a kid, we always went to Farmer's Store. That was a huge thing that drew in out-of-towners. The Farmer's Daughter I can speak of because I've helped her side by side. I've watched prior to COVID us trying to bring in out-of-towners, which is the majority of our business. It is not, unfortunately, local Fairfield people. It is out-of-towners. We come from all over. All over. Champaign, everywhere. They choose to come to Fairfield, to us, for the bridal gowns and for the formal gowns, in case you don't know what we sell. And so they come to Nicole. She chose to do Fairfield business as a young entrepreneur. She's only 24 right now. She was 21 when she bought it. As Christy mentioned, we need people from outside that are young to come in? What are you going to have to draw them into that? With Nicole prior to COVID, the store, you know, it was a challenge to get that. After COVID, even more so. Financially, as she spoke on, if we do not help these business owners, I can stand here and say they're going to close their doors if they don't, because where's the money going to come for the upkeep of the stores that are falling apart? When I look at Effingham, we went there for Christmas lights because the courthouse has Christmas lights on town. You know, those were things that were drawn in. When I look down our main street, we barely have any of those things. When we had the ice rink, people came in. There is so much that can be done with that 1% that I hope that you guys would be in full support of it to help, you know, thrive this town and community and to bring more people and continue 5 to 10 years down the road. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cindy Grimes, I'm the owner of Fairfield Produce, and I'm a consumer in the community, and I'm opposed to this tax. And I don't feel like anybody owes me anything to help my business grow. That's my responsibility. And people in this community are strapped. The times are tough. The inflation is ridiculously high. Gas prices are gonna skyrocket. The announcement was made today, we're cutting off Russia. Gas prices are gonna soar. The people in this community, a lot of them are on fixed incomes, and a 1% to a fixed income, low income family, that's a lot of money. And nobody owes me anything to help me with my business. That is up to me. So I just think this is, first of all, I'm not in favor of raising taxes. Secondly, this is a terrible time to do it. If you wanna do it, now is not the time for the community, and you have to think of the people. It's not just me as a business owner. You have to think of the people you represent, your family, your friends, your neighbors, your constituents. A lot of them, they're going to be just overtaken by this inflation that we're getting ready to face. So this just really isn't the time, and I'm opposed to it, and I hope you all vote no.
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak? All right, we have one more. Someone pushed by his wife towards the microphone.
My name's Mark Turner. My wife and I own Black's Flower Shop in downtown Fairfield. We wholeheartedly support this. Please, please, we can use this money in downtown. As people have mentioned, the extra 1% can be used for Christmas decorations. As Marjorie mentioned, bring people into town to see Christmas decorations. It can be used to spruce up downtown. I know when we travel, when we drive through a small town that looks nice and is pleasing and things are beautiful downtown, we find places to stop at. We find us, oh, look at that store, it's beautiful. Let's stop in and see. Then we go to another store. We get something to eat. It will bring money into town. And I think also, yes, maybe now is not the best time, but when is the best time? There's never going to be a great time to do this. People are always going to be upset about it, but think of the benefits that this 1% is going to bring. You can do curbing, streetscapes downtown. You can fix up businesses that are having, most of the businesses downtown, the buildings are at least 75 to 100 years old. They're going to need upkeep, and that is an expensive proposition, and any bit of help that we can get as small business owners will help us stay in business longer and make things better for our customers in the long run. Thank you. Please vote yes.
Thank you.
I'm Kathleen Taylor. I represent the Victorian on Main. One time I'm speaking. I just want to tell you that we have so many people from out of town, not just coming in for funerals or visiting families, but with the baseball team and things like that, that have a different perspective on our town. They think it is quaint, they think it is beautiful, and I cannot understand why people wouldn't want to build on that. I am for the tax, my daughter and her husband are for the tax. It doesn't affect us because we're not a retail business, but we see a lot of it. And if it will bring more people in to where people can open on Mondays and it be profitable, that would help us a lot. Because a lot of the people will stay over till Monday expecting to go shopping, and so many of the shops are closed. I really feel like if we had the money available for loans to the business owners that would help our town, it would enhance the business traffic. That's just my opinion, but that's what I feel. I hope you vote yes.
Thank you. All right, well, that gets us up close to 6 o'clock. I certainly appreciate the comments, the diversity of thought. There's going to be a vote on this matter in 2 weeks by the city council. So you have another 2 weeks to be able to talk to your representative, your alderman about the way you think about it, and we'll have that vote coming up then. If we could, we'll take about 2 or 3 minutes to get ready, and then we'll launch right into tonight's city council meeting. Thank you, Jared, for being here. Appreciate it. Thank you. We'll start in about 3 minutes. mind, please join us. And Ken Odie, would you please deliver prayer?
Let's pray. Almighty and everlasting God, we come before you tonight as a community, a country, and a world in need. I ask you to come near us and guide us through these most troubling times. For it is through you whether we seek wisdom, peace as an answer to conflict. Be with the council this evening as they make decisions that impact our community. May your presence be felt and your eternal guidance be directed upon every attendee. As war rages, let us search for peace and find answers to conflict and strife. May you stand with the sick, the needy, and those seeking your holy word this evening. For I ask this in your Son Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much for being here tonight at tonight's city council meeting. Madam Clerk, could you go ahead and call the roll?
Mayor Mike Reed,
Here.
City Attorney Darren Rice.
Here.
Alderman Dewey Eckleberry.
Here.
Alderman Clifford Reaver.
Here.
Alderman Tyler Lampley.
Here.
Alderman Eugene McGill.
Present.
Alderman Jerry Lisenby.
Here.
Alderman Terry Stahl.
Here.
Alderman Gary Moore.
Present.
Okay, the approval of the minutes from the February 22nd, 2022 meeting presented for approval.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Alderman Reaver, seconded by Alderman McGill to approve the minutes of the February 22nd meeting. Roll call vote, Lisenby.
Yes.
McGill.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Reaver.
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
Eckleberry.
Yes.
Lampley.
Yes.
All right, that passes. Approval of bills. Current bills presented for payment. After examination, do I have?
Before you
Yes.
make a motion, Mayor,
Yes.
there were a couple of bills, there was a couple of contracts in there for the Illinois Department of Natural Resources on a lease agreement. We've asked that those two be pulled out and be brought to the council for approval. So they're in the bills, but
Okay.
they're gonna be taken out.
All right, and so we're gonna see them down the road?
Yes.
Okay.
The next council meeting.
Okay, that's fine. Then do I hear a motion with that exception for an approval of the bills?
Yes.
Okay, Jerry.
I have a motion by Alderman Lisenby, seconded by Alderman Lampley, to approve paying the bills for this meeting with the exception of the lease agreement with the IDNR. Roll call vote, McGill.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Reaver.
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
Eckleberry.
Yes.
Lampley.
Yes.
Lisenby.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Public comments. Those with public comments for the city council, you have 3 minutes. Please come up and give us your name and tell us what you think. Well, we've had a half an hour of that, haven't we? All right. Well, all right, then I guess we'll pass on that. Let's move to agenda item 1. This is a resolution approving the first ward alderman appointment. Alderman Cole resigned his seat with a year left on it at our last meeting. According to statute, the mayor is to bring a person to the city council as an appointee that the city council gets the opportunity to be able to approve or not. And I have selected Cody Atterbury to be here to tell you a few things about Cody. 36 years old, graduate of FCHS in 2004. He was the MVP of the basketball team 2004. I know that because I thought my son might have been, but Cody was, and he's a graduate of SIUC, secondary education. He was hired and coaches basketball at New Hope School, and he also teaches social studies and math. He ran for this seat, ran for a seat in the ward, first ward, and lost by a few votes to Dewey in the last election. So he was the first person that came to mind when I decided to tab him for this seat. So having said that, are there any comments or any discussion on the part of the city council?
Make a motion, we approve that appointment.
Have a motion?
I second that.
Have a second?
I have a motion by Alderman Moore, seconded by Alderman Eccleberry, to approve the appointment of Cody Atterbury as Alderman of the First Ward to fill the unexpired term of Brett Cole. Roll call vote: Moore,
Yes.
Reaver,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Eccleberry,
Yes.
Lampley,
Yes.
Lisenby,
Yes.
McGill.
Yes.
I think it's probably a good time to swear in the new alderman.
We're just gonna throw you right in. Okay, is that all right with you?
Yes.
Okay. Repeat after me and raise your right hand. I, Cody Atterbury,
I, Cody Atterbury,
having been appointed
having been appointed
to the office
to the office
of First Ward Alderman
of First Ward Alderman
of the City of Fairfield
of the City of Fairfield
in the County of Wayne
in the County of Wayne
in the State of Illinois,
in the State of Illinois,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of Alderman
of the office of Alderman
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Do you have a pen with you by
Do.
chance? Could you sign that? Right there. Yes, please. Welcome.
Thank you.
Please have a seat. Congratulations. It might be a few months before we get you a nameplate. Yeah. Agenda item 2, is Shannon here? Shannon's back there, good. Shannon, come up here, would you please? Approval to seek bids for influence screen at wastewater treatment plant. Shannon, I'm learning more about sewer plants every day. And
Most of you
so-
are probably familiar with some of the problems they've had down there. The old influence screen, pretty deep. Maintenance on that was gonna be pretty costly to do any repair work, and even when you were done, you were gonna be investing quite a bit of money in a structure that was already significantly old. We looked into a few options there, not only retrofitting what you had, but also constructing a new style screen. It's basically a drum screen, kind of modified drum screen, but the water will flow through the mouth of the drum and collect the wastewater. It'll auger it out, rinse it, compact it, put it in trash bags, and it can be disposed of. But we've got it designed and submitted for permit, and we're ready to go to bid on that. It's kind of a necessary evil. The facilities they have don't work, and there's kind of a makeshift screening operation going on right now, but I think probably everybody down there is getting tired of doing that, so, ready to move on that.
Any questions? By the way, I didn't introduce, Shannon's with Conard and Conard, he's our engineer on this matter. Any questions for Shannon from the city council?
So what are you taking away down there? I mean, are you talking about where the corkscrew comes up, where the water, where the main?
Prior to that, in the process was the original influence screen, and it's at the depth, it's roughly 25 plus foot deep. It's confined space, it's hard to get anybody to want to go down there and work on it. And then the O&M on that is gonna be significant as well. The placement of this screen, so the process right now is water comes into the existing influence screen. Right now it's just simply flowing through it, not being screened. It runs up the screw pumps, it comes to the top. There's a bit of a diversion structure there where water will flow through to the plant. If the waters if the flows are high because of wet weather flows or whatever the situation is, water will overflow into the lagoon, the pond. But right now they've got a little screen assembly set up there to address that. From there it flows to the grit chamber. We're gonna intercept it between that diversion structure and the grit chamber, set 2 manholes, let it flow through a new screen structure. We'll be building a concrete structure. It'll have the automatic bars or the automatic screen, and then it'll have a manual screen bypass so that if this ever needs to be taken out of service, it can. It'll be built to a depth of about 4.5 feet, and it's built on a pivot. So if it ever needs serviced, you don't even have to go in the pit to work on it. You simply hook it, pull it up, pivot it up out of the structure, and do your work and put it back in. In the meantime, you'll have the ability to still screen without this makeshift screen that they've built. Still screen through a manual bypass route, which simply be a rake and a aluminum bar screen, which was old school, but still works in a manual arrangement.
And the process is economical compared to what we're doing now?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be easier to get to and work on and service. The old equipment, there was some quotes obtained, and I might have those with me. There were some quotes obtained for the old system. We were looking at, John, do you remember what those costs were?
It was just over 200,000 just for the assembly that goes up the rakes.
Right. And that was just for the equipment. That didn't include the installation of that. So there would have been installation labor costs associated. We think we can build something in the neighborhood of 330 to 350, which includes concrete equipment and all. And again, the significance of that is that it's at a much shallower installation.
Okay.
Would there be any available grants on that?
Potentially, time-wise, that's probably easily a year in the making, and this is something that needs addressed.
And your timeline, I mean, if you're going out to bids, how's the material and
Yeah, so as when we obtained these estimates for this material, they felt like it was something they could deliver in 8 to 12 weeks. I don't know if that's changed in the last 6 weeks, but we'll see. We'll have a 30-day advertisement period. After we open bids, if you find them reasonable, we'll work towards entering into agreement. That's and they'll provide bonds and insurance and that type of thing. That's a 2 to 3 week process. Once that's all secured and in hand, we'll issue notice to proceed. We've given them 120 calendar days to get this built. Obviously, material delays, sure, they're gonna change that.
Did you say 30-day notice, bid notice?
We will do it for 30 days.
Okay, so you will get something
We
new
will
if
get
it's
you,
approved.
yeah, we're actually providing you approved proceeding. We're gonna put this and the water tower project tomorrow, get it advertised and in the paper, and then we'll set up to have both of those projects. We'll open both those bids on the same day. You'll spend a lot of money that day.
Yes.
All right,
in spending a lot of money, I'm gonna ask Mr. Lampley, how you gonna pay for it?
The sewer project here, we do have the money coming from Wayne White. We have a sale of tools and miscellaneous equipment that's coming in at around $60,000. I provided Attorney Rice with a list, and he's going to be drawing it up so we can get that sold. And then Wayne White has still been calculating on equipment. The last number I heard, which was over a week ago, and they said they still had some things to go through, was just over $240,000. So you add those together, it's just north of $300,000 on that. I believe we can use that money. It'll be going into the general fund to pay for this. The water tower, we have not heard anything from the state as far as grants, so we're going to have to look at a bonding issue to cover what TIF and Bailey will not be covering.
Bailey will not?
No, I said
No.
Bailey, the
It
TIF
was-
and Bailey won't cover
Okay.
the remaining.
Okay.
Representative,
Sorry, yeah.
Representative Bailey, who's now Senator Bailey, gave $200,000 to the project. So, and that's still good as far as I know.
Last I heard,
Yeah.
still, they've not spent it
Can we get, I want you to stick around for just a second, because there's one other thing I want to discuss, but can we get a motion and a second on this project?
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Alderman Moore, seconded by Alderman Lampley, to approve seeking bids for an influence screen for the wastewater treatment facility. Roll call vote, Reaver,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Atterbury,
Yes.
Eckelberry,
Yes.
Lampley,
Yes.
Lizenby,
Yes.
McGill,
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
I kept Shannon here because there was a development today, news. There's been some consternation along the way between the folks that work at the water treatment plant and the plans that were put together for the new water tower. So today we met, all of us in the same room. Tyler joined us because money was an issue. Could you explain what the understanding is now?
Yeah, so originally, the plan was to demo the ground storage tank. Everybody's familiar with its location over east side of the golf course on 7th Street. We were going to demo the pump station that serves that, or that's used with that, in conjunction with that. We're building a new water tower to the same elevation as the west tower, so that both of those, you have 3 satellite towers essentially and 1 central tower. All the water from your system runs through the central tower and is then distributed to the other 3. That puts the city at a little bit of in a bind in terms of if that central tower ever needed to be taken out of service, and essentially it does, it needs painted or demoed or whatever the case, there would be a real liability in maintaining water supply to everybody and everything while that occurred. We believe that if we take the central tower out of service, we build a new tank to the same elevation as the west tank, that we can use those simultaneously, and we could remove either one of those out of service at any time and still maintain service throughout your system. The question has been, should we be getting rid of, and there's a pump station associated with filling that west tower now that we could also eliminate. So the plan was to eliminate 2 tanks, 2 pump stations, build 1 tower. There's been some concern as to whether we should get rid of that 1 billion gallon tank. And the answer to that is, while I have a different opinion, it doesn't have to be removed today. The cost of that is not significant. That's probably a $20,000 to $30,000 project if and when you ever decide to have that demoed and removed. But it doesn't have to be done today. We can still build the new tower to the same as the west. We can still eliminate 1 pump station, but we can build this tower and still leave that as an insurance policy until everybody's satisfied, if ever, satisfied that it could be removed. So you can just do that at a later date. So we're gonna go ahead and build the new tower. We're still gonna build it to the same elevation as the west. We're still gonna eliminate 1 pump station, but we're gonna retain, the development today was that we're gonna retain that 1 million gallon structure and its associated pump for a period of time.
Questions about that?
Where's the new tower gonna be?
The plan is to build it right there next, well, we were gonna demo the ground storage tank and then build it right there. The plan is to still try to build it on there. After our discussion today, I've looked at that some more, and we need to follow up on that some more, and there may be another alternative location immediately close to that we should discuss, but I'll be in town Thursday, and I thought I'd talk to you about that then, but nonetheless, in that general area, so.
And that won't affect what you've already done with the EPA?
Correct. We had a tower permitted at the cemetery. That was a fast-paced permitting procedure that we tried to do to try to secure a grant. We needed to demonstrate that we had ground and we were ready to build. That was the quickest location to prove that because it was owned. Then there was a push to relocate that and not necessarily build it there. We had to modify our permit. We had to have a permit for the grant, demonstrate we were ready to spend money. We had to have property to demonstrate we were ready to build a tower. So now that we've changed the location of this tower, we're simply modified the plans to say, hey, we're building the same thing, we just moved it. And that's just a modification permit, that's not starting over.
So with the addition of the 1 million gallon, it'll just be more code as far as the SCADA goes to allow
now 3 sets in that kind of the middle, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of cost associated with that, I mean, we're basically removing the existing central tower, and we're gonna be adding a tower in its place. The code and such for the existing, that really doesn't add money. It's gonna take them 6 to 12 hours to modify that code, whether we added 3 new tanks or took away
Okay.
1. I mean, it's just once you're in there doing it, it all kinda happens pretty fast. But we will do that. I'm not making that a part, just so everybody's aware, you get this extra bill when it's all over, hey, where'd that come from? I'm not making that those SCADA changes a part of this contract. You use already a proprietary supplier or provider for that. If I make it a part of the contract, the contractor's gonna mark it up, you're gonna pay extra for it. It'll be easier for us to work directly with those people once the tower's built, and you pay that bill directly rather than run it through the contract. So, once we get the tower built, we'll be working with them while it's being built to make sure they're ready to make those changes, but once it's built, we'll attach the equipment and it'll be ready to use. So, and then you'll get a bill for that.
And with this new water tower, I mean, is there a maintenance program with that? I mean, this will lead into another question. Were you involved in the other constructions of the other water towers?
No.
No.
I was involved with some repair work on the West Tank at one time, about 10, 12 years ago.
Because I know the central water tower we're saying is old and outdated, and we didn't take care of it, you know, and so my question to follow that up is, what about the other water towers? Have they been inspected? Have they been maintained, or are we just getting ready to go through this again in a few more years?
No, we just painted the south tank inside of 5 years. I can't recall exactly how long that's been, but that one's in good shape. The west tank and the north tank are actually scheduled to be inspected this spring. So I actually will be climbing those and doing visual inspection on those. The west tank back 10 years ago when we had to do some repair work, there was some damage with the riser pipe and the way it entered the bowl. We had to do some work there to get that. I don't recall exactly what it was, but we had to put in some new riser pipe inside that tank. But beyond that, it was in pretty good shape at that time. I think probably the biggest thing with that central tank has been, it'd been nice to do maintenance, but it was gonna be hard to do because you couldn't deal with it being out of service.
Right.
And now we will have the flexibility for you to do that by having the primary artery. I mean, trust me when I say that central tank is the primary artery of your distribution system. And with the ability to have a redundant source in that pressure zone is going to make a world of difference for what you're able to do from a maintenance perspective. From having them cleaned, having them painted, whatever you may choose to do, it'll make a significant difference.
You say that the west tank's gonna be inspected this summer?
This
Or
spring,
spring.
late spring, yeah.
Are you looking about painting?
Yeah, the EPA requires that you have those inspected at least every 3 to 5 years. It's been a while since anybody's been on that tank, so we're gonna go up there and we'll take pictures, we'll do some adhesion tests, we'll do some mill thickness gauging, just some visual observation. We'll give you a report, any recommended maintenance things that need to be addressed, or hey, this looks like there's 7 years of paint life left here. Whatever that recommendation is, we'll kind of spell that out for you.
You're gonna say, it looked like it might need, start to look at being painted.
And sometimes with those newer, that tank's not that old, so we don't worry about lead paint in those instances, so we don't have to take those all the way down to bare metal and build them all the way back up with prime and intermediate and final coats. We can pressure wash those and do some urethane overcoats and get good life out of those for, I'm not gonna say cheap, nothing's cheap, but less expensive than taking it all the way down.
Didn't think we were gonna have you up this long, but thank you very
Yeah.
much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll, Tina, I'll get you some information.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, agenda item 3, Travis, could you come up, please? We've got Jason Robinson here as well from Ag Monkey.
Jason Robinson from Ag Monkey.
Okay, and so We're looking at an ordinance to approve a fuel lease agreement and a land agreement with Ag Monkey, which is a tenant at the airport. Could you
Yes, that's
explain?
correct. We've had Attorney Rice and Eugene McGill and Darren. Darren has put together a lease agreement where he covered all his bases on liability and regulations. What Jason is wanting to do, what the whole goal of this is to increase operations and increase fuel sales. And Jason is trying his best to increase activity. And that's a win-win situation for everyone. What we decided to do, what me and Jason talked about, he's looking at increasing maybe 40 to 60% from last year. Last year we burnt 45,969,000 gallons of jet fuel. We're looking at a potential increase 65 to 85,000 gallons this year. And what we would like to do is I would like to lock in a 5-year agreement with him. But Jason is going to invest money in the airport. He's already invested money in the business, but he owns 1.3 acres of ground that adjoins our ground, which he currently loads and operates on. And he is going to add additional fuel tanks, possibly 2 10,000 gallon storage tanks. We had a problem last year of keeping the fuel in the ground when we were operating 6 or 8 air tractors and pulling 2,000 gallons a day out of the ground. I couldn't get trucks there fast enough. So he is willing to invest the money and on his property, but he's agreed to let the city, me, manage the fuel. In other words, I buy the fuel, then we sell it to him at 30 cents a gallon above cost. In other words, we'll make 30 cents a gallon off us, buying the money for me to manage that fuel. And the whole goal is to get the ground operation settled so he can concentrate on growing his business and flying. Attorney Rice has been thorough on his lease as far as Jason's requirements to meet all of his regulatory requirements, and he's willing to invest the money at our airport, and it's good for airport, it's growth. I mean, so I'm trying to encourage it and help the best I can to do that. So that's what we kind of come to Jason's agreed to it,
And the land part of it is utilization of some land that we're not using at the moment to be able to help mix some of the.
That is a piece of ground I furnished the alderman with a picture that we're never going to use, and it's adjacent to his mixing equipment, as you can see on the photograph. And it's a 20 feet by 60 feet. He's willing to pay for the expense to concrete that, put a lip around it, and put a sump in there. That way he can store his chemicals, and it gives him more area, plus it relieves congestion, so his chemicals doesn't have to be out on the concrete and interfere with any of our planes that are wanting to come out. So we're never going to use it. There's no future plans to ever expand that, and I won't have to mow it. I mean, it's not a very big piece of ground, but it will help him, and it will help organizations, and it's giving him more ability, more flexibility to move more airplanes faster.
So this agreement, this picture that you provided, is 20 by 60. You're going to turn it into a concrete pad, right, and you're going to build a berm, and that's going to be property of
the city. We're just going to lease it to him to utilize that, and he's going to spend the money to improve it. Was the plan.
Improve this or improve
the ground. He's going to pay the money to concrete it and do everything at his cost.
Okay.
If we just let him use that little piece of ground there, so it can help his operations.
And so what chemicals are we storing there?
Pallets of fungicide, or they're in cardboard boxes anyway. Just usually they bring in pallets. The guys from FS or whatever bring in pallets, things of that nature. He mixes chemicals there too, right on the other side of concrete. And this concrete will be contained with a sump that will be required to be certified by the Department of Ag and EPA. And it's in this lease that he is required to comply with all that. And there's also liability clauses that Darren has wrote in this lease that protects the city from any type of any type of
a spill or something like that. That was where the question.
I know where you're going with that, and that's what I had in mind too.
Okay, so we are protected.
We are protected.
Okay.
Yeah. That was one thing we wanted to make sure, but that will help him keep his chemicals organized in order to let him do faster, and it's gonna benefit me because, I mean, we're not gonna use the ground. You know, I just look at it a plus on that. That's a separate agreement from the fuel agreement.
Okay. And on your fuel agreement, so it's the recommendation that we're gonna sell him fuel for 30 cents over our cost?
And he pays all
for
taxes.
for a 5-year period.
5-year term.
Okay, so if our price goes up, his price goes
His
up.
price goes up. I'm gonna furnish him an invoice every load. Then I'm gonna tack in 30 cents off that unit cost and itemize his bill, and he'll pay all taxes due.
Travis will manage not only our in-ground fuel tank, but also manage the above-ground fuel tanks.
Yeah, we had capacity problems, but he's willing to invest money on him. He's gonna put additional tanks, but he's gonna allow us to still manage that fuel.
And so you'll be doing all the orders of the
I'll be
fuel?
doing all the ordering. I'll be
Okay.
doing
So you'll know exactly what's
Yes.
came in.
Yes, that's correct.
We got 10 planes, how many gallons a day goes out? I mean,
Jason?
We was running 5,000 gallons a day through there.
I have a 9,000 gallon capacity. I could not get truck drivers there fast enough.
And is Ag Monkey the only one that's flying out of there with our fuel?
He's our base operator. No, there is a transit agreement which is
That's
separate. This is a separate deal, but Ag Monkey will be the only one using that fuel, because that's Jason's tanks. Transit operators would use out of our pump, the one that's there on our apron, on a ramp now. Any transit operator.
And are we gonna discuss the price that we're selling that later or after this, or?
No, the transit, they're gonna get a retail price. I'm not giving them.
And what is retail price?
Today, it's
Today?
$3.75 gallon.
How much?
$3.75 gallon today, and I'm still working, but I just got a jet load in this morning, so I don't have the invoice yet.
And if you don't mind me asking, if today's price, and we're under this agreement, what's his price today?
His price today will be, I'm gonna have to think about it. His price today would be, depending on what my invoice is. Last year's cost was like $267.
But you said you just ordered the load, right?
Well, I did. I haven't got my invoice yet. They got a bill freight. Sometimes it takes a day and a half to 2 days to get my invoice, so I can gauge that. But he's still pumping out what I had from last year.
Okay.
So his price last year was $267.
That was his price, what was our cost?
$230 something. It was 30 cents markup from last year.
And so we're just basically gonna do the same thing that we've been doing.
Yes. Only we're gonna increase our volume of sales. We're gonna increase our revenue stream. We're gonna pump more gallons through the whole system.
Okay.
Hopefully 50% more. From 45,000 gallons, possibly 85 or 90,000 gallons.
What do you sell the rest of the people?
What do you mean, how much markup?
How many gallons?
How many gallons? It just depends. There's an agreement on this transit agreement. If they come in, they can either pay $100 a day fee, or they can buy 150 gallons, which I'm upping. I want to up that fee, and I want to up the gallons on these transits. And we don't have very many transits, Gary, to be honest with you.
Okay.
As far as ag operations.
Anybody else, private planes out there
Well,
do
yeah.
anything?
A little bit. I mean, all air traffic is kind of slow, especially since COVID.
Okay.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what you.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to see, where the gallons are, and what are we gonna tell, customer B that, because you don't get the gallons, you're gonna get to pay a higher price, so are we gonna chase them away?
No, because I'm still competitive with all other airports. I mean, I always base my pricing, but it depends on your cost too. I mean, transit operator, they're either gonna come here and they're gonna pay this fee, or they're gonna buy gas. Because this was approved by the council 3 or 4 years ago. All I want to do here is raise the fees.
Okay.
You don't want to raise the fees, we can just not do it. And I'm wanting to make an agreement with Jason to help him stabilize his ground operation so he can fly more airplanes, so we can move more gas. That's my goal. I mean, it's whatever.
I just asking.
All right, I'm just telling you, that's the whole goal here, is to get the ground operation.
All right, do
and
we
get
have
more fuel from the airport.
Do we have a motion on?
That's what it is.
On which one?
Well, the ordinance to approve a fuel lease agreement and land agreement, they're combined on agenda item with Ag Monkey. Can we have it?
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
A motion by Alderman Eccleberry, seconded by Alderman McGill to approve a lease agreement and land agreement with Ag Monkey. Roll call vote, Stahl,
Yes.
Atterbury,
Yes.
Eccleberry,
Yes.
Lampley,
Yes.
Lisenby,
Yes.
McGill,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Reaver,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Now we move to the transient or temporary
Are we not done?
ag operators.
I just thought you were.
Basically wanna raise the fees from $100 a day to $250, because
Okay.
I don't wanna babysit them out there. They bring their equipment out there, they make a mess, they wanna use the airport, they can pay money.
I mean, when you say you're meaning like
I mean,
other ag,
I mean, you know, any type of other ag company from a different, this wants to fly in and operate for a day or two.
but you're not talking like somebody flying from Olney.
No, I'm
Okay.
talking about transient ag operator only.
Yeah, that's what
Just an ag operator that wants to bring equipment out on our apron
Mhm.
and utilize our apron to fly fertilizer.
And then not want to buy our gas.
Yeah, not want to buy our gas. I've been stuck in that boat before, and then it's not fun.
And this is something we already have on the
We
books.
already have. I just
Right.
want to bump the fees up from $100 to $250
All right,
because everything's going up.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
motion by Alderman Eccleberry, seconded by Alderman Lampley to approve the fees for transient or temporary ag operators. Roll call vote, Atterbury,
Yes.
Eccleberry,
Yes.
Lampley,
Yes.
Lisenby,
Yes.
McGill,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Reaver,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
and we're done with Travis.
Travis, were you gonna introduce Jason?
Just, would you please introduce our prime tenant?
This is Jason Robinson. He's the president of Ag Money. That's TJ Grayton. That's his co-partner.
We thank you for your business,
Thank you.
and we're glad that you're expanding your
TJ's
business.
done a good guy with Travis. Last year, he was under a lot of pressure with the fuel situation. We had one day where we had to sit, and he was doing the best he could with what he had, and it was not his issue, it was a delivery issue.
That's why this capacity will help.
Yeah.
Jason is investing the money in our airport
Yes.
to increase our operations, so it is a good
We're,
thing.
we're very proud of our airport, and we're very pleased with Travis. Thank
I
you.
love Travis.
All right. Agenda item 5, Water Distribution Department Lead Man Appointment. Well, as you know, Kevin Leonard decided to go to the cemetery. I have more information on job changes in the mayor's report. But Kevin going to the cemetery left open, and I want to say this, I'll say it more than once. Kevin did a wonderful job as the lead man of water distribution. I enjoyed working with him. He'll do a good job at the cemetery. Brad Young has been his shadow during the period of time that I've been here, and I know previously. And so I had very little trepidation in bringing to the city council Brad Young as the proposed replacement as the lead man of water distribution.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Have a motion by Alderman Moore, seconded by Alderman Reaver to approve the appointment of Brad Young as lead man for the Water Distribution Department. Roll call, Eccleberry,
Yes.
Lampley,
Yes.
Lisenby,
Yes.
McGill,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Reaver,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Atterbury,
Yes.
All right. Agenda item number 6, authorization of the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners to proceed with hiring and testing. As you know, we had 15 people apply on the police side, and I'm looking at Diane now, were there 4 on the fire department side that applied?
Yes.
Okay, and then we had physical testing, which occurred at FCHS on a Saturday morning a week and a half ago. And we had 5, I believe, that passed the police part of it. After that, 3 passed both the physical as well as the written test. And so the fire and police commissioners are proposing those 3 people to be hired, and also proposing that we test again to be able to develop the list that we just depleted. Any questions concerning that? Now, these folks, the three that are on the list that I've left with you, they still have to go through psychological testing. They have to go through a polygraph test, and they also have to, what's the third one? Background check. And so these folks would be hired contingent on passing those additional tests.
I make the motion.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Alderman Reaver, seconded by Alderman Lampley, to authorize the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners to proceed with hiring and testing. Roll call vote, Lampley,
Yes.
Lisenby,
Yes.
McGill,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Reaver,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Atterbury,
Yes.
Eckelberry,
Yes.
It passes. Amending the ordinance to change utility collection dates. Alderman Lisenby proffered that we should change the due date so that it would coincide with Wayne White at our last meeting. And so what this does, this ordinance would have us, according to the clerk, there are several ordinances that are gonna have to be altered by virtue of us doing this. And so we need a little bit of time to be able to bring those ordinances to you, but what we're asking, it sounded like everybody was in somewhat of agreement at the last meeting, but I just wanted to make that official. Any questions we might be able to answer?
The dates for collection is scattered throughout the whole code, so we'll have to go through each, each utility, each, like the collections department or collections area of the code, it's mentioned in there. So there'll be several different ordinances that will be required to be amended to get the date changed. So we just, wouldn't be able to get it approved, but we wanna make sure everybody's on board with doing that before we go through the expense of doing so.
The question I've been asked by many people out and about town is the plan to keep the date that we mail out the same? Just changing the date, or are we also pushing back? But, they're saying, is it gonna be a few days late? Wayne White doesn't always get it out there on the first. City of Fairfield's always been fairly reputable to hit your mailbox on the first. They want to know, is that the plan to keep that the same? And I believe that is the intention, to not change our cadence, it's just the collection date.
That's the way I understand it, Alderman.
I didn't bring it, I think that's what Gary was.
That's what I did.
Okay.
So you want a motion?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion if we keep the mailing dates the same.
All right.
I don't think the mailing dates is addressed in the code, so that won't be changed, but, if we do change the collection date, we can instruct billing to keep doing the billing times the same. So that would be.
And even though this mirrors the Wayne White, I think it's a good thing for the residents of the city. It gives everybody an extra 5 days
Yeah.
to pay their.
And that's what I wanted to make, they wanted to make sure they were
That's
going to
the
be getting
positive
the extra
thing
5
about
days,
it.
they knew, yeah.
I was looking to see if DL was back there giving me this, and she's not here, so it's gonna change that way, so.
Okay, so I had a motion by Eckelberry to proceed, to
Second.
authorize Attorney Rice, okay, thank you. Motion by Alderman Eckelberry, seconded by Alderman, pardon?
Nothing.
Oh. Alderman Moore to authorize Attorney Rice to prepare an ordinance to change the utility collection dates. Roll call vote, Lisenby,
Yes.
McGill,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Reaver,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Atterbury,
Yes.
Eckelberry,
Yes.
Lampley.
Yes.
Okay. All right, agenda item 8. I made reported out a couple of weeks ago that the fireworks company that we worked with over the years had been sold, and that there might be, there's some hint of supply issues, but essentially what they did is they reached out to me to say, and we've spent $10,000 Is that right, Gary?
That is correct.
Okay, $10,000 on the fireworks. Typically around a 30-minute show, wouldn't you say? Okay, well, they said for that $10,000, you're going to get 30% less show this year. So that's where Tyler comes in. You want to take it from there, Tyler?
When we had our recreation meeting, we talked about things, and the group there was very concerned that we wouldn't have a fireworks show, brings in a lot of people. So there was talk that recreation would pick up the difference plus maybe a little bit of some to maybe even make the show a little better. So the talk was to move to a $15,000, which would be $10,000 from the city, $5,000 from recreation, 30% more would give us a $2,000 extra show. So that was kind of what we talked about there.
But that also, now, so let me throw Libby under the bus then. So Libby thinks there's a possibility of corporate sponsorship.
After that meeting, speaking with Shauna Williams from Fairfield Memorial Hospital, many of our businesses in Fairfield donate to Sisney's fireworks. So I'm pretty certain if they're donating for Sisney, they'll sponsor Fairfield. And then it was also discussed that we make it more of an event, like it used to be. I guess, I don't know, I don't remember used to be, but like it used to be, if we create more of an event to get people to come and stay more of the day where they're spending more money in town. So I'm pretty certain we could, between our banks and our hospital, we can get some sponsorships.
Okay. So we're hoping to spend less and get more.
Well, spend the same. Well, and then she'd get,
If
yeah,
she-
and
if she
then
does
she'd get
something.
sponsorship. We're asking the city to spend the same amount, and then the recreation, and the recreation fund currently has $28,000 in it, which is collected from the hotel motel tax, from our Airbnbs, and the budget in. I'll leave it with the one hotel that pays.
So
You
we
could-
would
you
set-
couldn't
I
avoid that,
couldn't,
could you?
yeah.
So we would still set aside 15,000 in our appropriations for that.
The 15, it'd be a $15,000, but 10,000, no, because the bill would be, I don't know how, yeah, I guess in the appropriations it would be maybe 15 and then reimbursed by the recreation fund,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, let me, one other thing. Sisney is on July 2nd, which is, I believe, a Saturday night? Is that right? But we were talking about doing it actually on the night of July 4th, which is a Monday, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? Oh, Diane's diving into the office to make sure.
It's on a Monday.
It's on a Monday, okay. So, I mean, is everybody okay with July 4th? Actually, that's the day, I mean,
Libby, how are you gonna get the old time on a Monday, not a weekend?
Would it be better to go July 3rd on a Sunday?
Your businesses aren't gonna be open on a Sunday or Monday. If we're trying to increase sales and.
I mean, they're still gonna eat and they're still gonna hopefully get gas.
Or do
May
you
not
feel?
bring in more for retail, but our food trucks would probably benefit.
right, but
if
I'm
we
just saying,
create
July
more.
2nd, it's the same company is out.
Mhm.
We gotta pick our,
So, my question is July 2nd out because we wait so long in the year to put this on the agenda? Like, could we bump that up to secure July, that Saturday before the 4th, a year ahead of time?
this is about the same time every year that.
Yeah, I think,
I don't know
when
if
I
it's
was
the
here,
same company.
they
It
asked.
wasn't the
it's
same
about
company in the
same
past. I
company.
think it's,
Okay.
I think it's because of the mergers.
Okay.
I mean, I guess from a personal standpoint, and I understand that, business will be closed on the 3rd, and a lot of businesses will be closed on the 4th, so that frees up some
Okay.
things, but I mean, I know your predecessor, or, she talked about having, a softball tournament out there or something like that, or a baseball, or something like that, I mean, since it's gonna be closed, and the fireworks are usually over by 9:30, somewhere in there, it's not detrimental to the kids having to get up and go to school the next morning.
Yeah, I don't have a preference on the date, to be honest, I mean.
I mean, a
That's
Saturday, you know, I think maybe if you're wanting to turn it into an event, you know, maybe the Saturdays or the Sundays are more appealing, and maybe we look at that next year.
All right.
And the rec committee, I mean, they're all up for getting together and
Right.
helping figure out what that event is. I can't speak
Okay,
for
We
them.
would,
so-
we would like to, as it's been a number of years, we used to allow fraternal and sororities to like concession down there, and it was ended, but I think that would be a great thing to bring back.
So, helping, so we still talking the 4th?
Well, yeah, I think this year we talked the 4th, and maybe next year,
Okay,
maybe we take
alright.
a look at what, you know, if the 4th's gonna be on a
Alright.
Monday, it's gonna be.
Next year.
All right, so, but we're okay for the 4th now. So,
Yeah, right.
so what I'm asking for is, if we could,
Can
yeah, go ahead.
Can we combine the next one in with it? So-
I'll be fine too, that's okay.
I would like to make a motion that we do agenda items number 7, the fireworks for 15,000, which will include 5,000 coming from the recreation committee, and that levy would be fundraising, and number 9, the city band, which,
$7,000.
$7,000.
I second that motion.
Have a motion by Alderman Lampley, seconded by Alderman Moore, to approve setting aside $15,000 for fireworks and $7,000 for city band. Roll call vote, McGill,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Reaver,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Atterbury,
Yes.
Eckelberry,
Yes.
Lampley,
Yes.
Lisenby.
Yes.
And that passes. The mayor's report, I met with a representative of the 3 water departments which buy bulk water from the city this morning. Each year at about this time, the increases that we pass along to them are based on the consumer price index. Water rates to Jasper, New Hope, and Boylston water districts will go up 7.5% retroactive to January 1st. So pretty healthy. Our first efforts in stabilizing natural gas prices were successful. UGM reports our hedging efforts will net our customers a savings of more than $3,000 for March. I know that doesn't sound like a great deal, but at least it's something to begin the hedging process. We'll keep a continuing eye on the market. It's becoming really volatile now. With oil pushing up, it should push drilling up so long as it's allowed, and will benefit from the production of natural gas. Landowners at 1302 Leniger Road and 205 West 7th and 900 Leroy have been given until Friday to clean up their properties. All 3 have been given fair warning that the city would not continue to stand by. Personnel moves, as I mentioned earlier, let me go through the list here. It goes as dominoes. Eric Holstein bid to the Street and Bridge Department. Steve Musgrave went from the cemetery to water distribution. That led to Kevin Leonard deciding to move to the cemetery after heading our water distribution department for 4.5 years. I mentioned earlier he did a great job. I have every expectation that Brad Young will also do a good job. Kevin's move created an opening in water distribution that's been filled by Cole Young, coming from the water filtration plant, and we have posted Cole's job, which will be pulled on Friday afternoon. That's correct. I've attached some light reading from Jerry Quindry. He's advising me on the restoration of the Lakeside Lake and other associated drainage problems. It is a good read. Also attached a letter requesting assistance from the state office at the USDA's Natural Resource Conservation Service, the NRCS. That letter is addressed to Ivan Dozier, which I understand is a relative of yours.
Distant. Very distant.
Well, if you'd ask him, I'm sure he'd say that, yes. Anyway, the state conservationist, he coincidentally is from Mill Shoals, and very familiar with our problems here. Any questions about the mayor's report? Then it's miscellaneous. What can we do there?
I'd like to say thank you, Kevin, for your work down there at the water distribution. And wish you luck out there.
Anything else? We have no need now for a closed session. Those of you that would like to vote with your feet, please give me a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, please.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much for here. Those of you that were here through the entire ordeal, thank you. We appreciate it.